Picture this. You're driving home after what seemed like a completely normal conversation. Nothing dramatic happened. No shouting, no obvious lies, no smoking gun. And yet, you can't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Your mind keeps replaying every sentence, every pause, every smile, every tiny detail. You ask yourself, why does this still bother me? Here's the surprising answer. Your brain often notices deception before your conscious mind does. Long before you can explain it, your instincts are already picking up subtle signals that something doesn't add up. Most people think liars reveal themselves by avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, or stumbling over their words. But that's not how skilled deceivers usually operate. The most convincing liars often sound calm, confident, friendly, sometimes even more believable than honest people. Their biggest mistake isn't in what they say, it's in the questions they ask. Because every deceptive question has a hidden purpose: to distract you, to confuse you, to make you question yourself instead of questioning them. And once you understand these psychological tactics, you'll start hearing conversations in a completely different way. In today's video, we're breaking down the 5 questions liars ask most often, the science behind why they work, and the subtle warning signs that can help you recognize manipulation before it's too late. By the end of this video, you'll be listening with sharper instincts, thinking more clearly, and spotting red flags that most people miss. So stay with me, because question number 5 is the one even experienced manipulators use. And once you recognize it, you'll never look at difficult conversations the same way again. Imagine you're having a serious conversation with someone you trust. You calmly ask, "Did you really do that?" For a brief moment, everything goes quiet. Instead of giving you a simple yes or no, they quickly fire back with, "Why would I lie?" Sounds convincing, doesn't it? But pay close attention. That wasn't an answer. It was a strategy. In psychology, this is known as shifting the burden of proof. Rather than explaining their behavior, they immediately put you on the defensive. Now you're no longer evaluating their honesty. You're trying to justify why you even asked the question. Your brain starts filling in the blanks. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe they really wouldn't lie to me. And that's exactly where they want you. The focus quietly moves away from their actions and onto your doubts. Here's something worth remembering. An honest person is usually more interested in clearing up the misunderstanding than challenging your right to ask. They'll often say something like, "No, here's what actually happened." A deceptive person, however, often wants to stop the conversation before the facts are even discussed. They know that if they can make you question yourself, they may never have to answer the original question at all. So the next time someone immediately responds with, "Why would I lie?" Don't argue. Don't defend yourself. Stay calm. Repeat your original question and pay attention to what happens next. Because people who are telling the truth usually answer the question. People hiding the truth often try to avoid it. At first, this question sounds sincere, almost heartbreaking. You confront someone with a concern, and instead of responding to the facts, they look at you and ask, "Do you really think I'd do that?" In that single moment, the entire conversation changes. It stops being about what happened and starts becoming about how you feel about them. Suddenly, you're not weighing evidence anymore. You're questioning your own loyalty. Maybe I am being unfair. Maybe I should trust them. I don't want them to think I doubt them. That's exactly why this question is so powerful. It appeals to your emotions instead of your logic. Psychologists call this an emotional diversion, a tactic that shifts attention away from the issue and redirects it toward trust, and personal connection. The stronger your relationship with someone, the more effective this strategy becomes. Because most people would rather avoid hurting someone they care about than continue asking uncomfortable questions. And that's where manipulation quietly succeeds. Instead of explaining the facts, the conversation becomes about proving your love, your loyalty, or your faith in them. But here's something important to remember. Trust is built on honesty, not on avoiding difficult conversations. A truthful person may feel hurt by your question, but they'll usually answer it anyway. Someone trying to hide the truth may rely on emotion to keep you from asking the next question. So the next time you hear, "Do you really think I do that?" Pause before you apologize. Bring the conversation back to the facts. Because genuine trust never asks you to ignore evidence, and the strongest relationships can survive honest questions. Blind trust, on the other hand, can become the perfect hiding place for deception. Now here's a question that often reveals far more than people realize. Imagine you calmly confront someone about something you've learned. Before they deny it, before they explain, before they even ask what happened, their very first response is, "Who told you that?" Think about that for a second. They didn't ask if the information was accurate. They didn't ask for details. They didn't even seem surprised by the accusation. Instead, they're immediately focused on one thing: your source. Why? Because someone who has nothing to hide is usually interested in understanding the situation. Someone who has something to hide may be more interested in finding out how much you already know. It's a subtle but powerful psychological difference. Their mind instantly shifts into damage control mode. They're trying to figure out who talked, what was revealed, how much evidence exists, and how much time they have to protect themselves. They're gathering information before deciding what story to tell. An honest person is far more likely to ask, "Wait, what happened?" Or, "Can you explain what you heard?" A deceptive person often skips those questions entirely. Instead, they want to identify the leak before addressing the truth. That doesn't automatically mean they're lying. There are innocent reasons someone might ask about the source. But when their first concern is who knows rather than what happened, it's worth paying close attention. Because people focused on the truth usually seek clarity. People focused on protecting a lie often seek information they can use to control the situation. Sometimes, the first question a person asks tells you exactly where their priorities are. And that's a signal you should never ignore. At first glance, this question sounds completely innocent. In fact, most people wouldn't think twice about it. But in the hands of a skilled manipulator, "Are you sure?" can become one of the most powerful psychological weapons in a conversation. Why? Because its purpose isn't always to uncover the truth. Sometimes, it's to make you question your own mind. Imagine you clearly remember what you saw. You heard the words. You noticed the details. You felt confident. Then someone calmly looks you in the eye and asks, "Are you sure?" Suddenly, your certainty begins to fade. Your brain starts replaying every moment. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I only caught part of the conversation. Maybe my memory isn't as clear as I thought. This happens because human memory isn't like a video recording. It's reconstructed every time we recall it. And manipulators know that. Psychologists often describe this tactic as planting uncertainty, introducing just enough doubt to weaken your confidence without ever proving you wrong. The goal isn't to change the facts. The goal is to make you question the facts. Once self-doubt takes over, you're less likely to challenge them, less likely to ask follow-up questions, and more likely to accept their version of events. That's exactly why this tactic can be so effective. Confident liars understand a simple truth. If they can't erase the evidence, they'll try to erase your confidence in the evidence. So the next time someone repeatedly asks, "Are you sure?" don't rush to second-guess yourself. Pause. Think objectively. Review the facts, not just your feelings, because healthy conversations seek clarity. Manipulative conversations create confusion. And sometimes, the biggest lie isn't changing what happened. It's convincing you that you can no longer trust what you already know. This may be the most dangerous question on the entire list, not because it sounds suspicious, but because it sounds so reasonable. Think about when it usually happens, not at the beginning of the conversation, not when the topic is first introduced. It almost always appears when the pressure starts building, when the questions become more specific, when the details stop lining up, and when the truth is getting harder to avoid. That's when you suddenly hear, "Can we just move on? Let's stop talking about this. Why are we still bringing this up?" On the surface, those words sound calm. They sound mature, even wise. After all, nobody enjoys conflict. But timing matters. Sometimes this isn't a request for peace. It's a strategy to escape accountability. Because every additional question creates another opportunity for the truth to surface. Every follow-up can expose an inconsistency. Every honest answer has to match the one before it. And that's exactly what a deceptive person wants to avoid. The longer a difficult conversation continues, the harder it becomes to keep a false story perfectly consistent. So instead of answering, they try to end the conversation itself. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as conversation shutdown, a tactic that replaces resolution with avoidance. Now, it's important to be fair. Not everyone who says, "Can we move on?" is lying. Sometimes people are emotionally overwhelmed, exhausted, or simply need time to think. That's completely normal. The real warning sign is a pattern. If someone repeatedly shuts down important conversations whenever they're asked tough questions, if they consistently avoid accountability instead of offering honest explanations, it's worth paying attention. Because truth doesn't fear respectful questions. It welcomes them. Deception, on the other hand, often depends on silence. So the next time someone rushes to end the conversation before your questions are answered, don't just ask whether they're trying to move on. Ask yourself, what are they trying to move away from? Before you start analyzing every conversation you've ever had, there's one important truth you need to remember. None of these questions by themselves prove that someone is lying. In fact, honest people ask them too. Someone who's falsely accused might genuinely say, "Why would I lie?" Or, "Are you sure?" That doesn't automatically make them deceptive. Human behavior is far more complex than a single sentence. That's why psychologists don't rely on one clue. They look for patterns, because deception is rarely revealed by one moment. It's revealed by a series of behaviors that begin to fit together like pieces of a puzzle. Pay attention when several warning signs appear at the same time. Does the person's story keep changing? Do they avoid giving direct answers? Do they suddenly provide long, unnecessary explanations that never quite address the original question? Do they become unusually defensive or overly emotional the moment they're challenged? Do they repeatedly try to shift the focus away from the facts and onto your feelings? And do these same 5 questions keep showing up whenever accountability enters the conversation? One sign alone doesn't tell you very much. 2 might simply be stress. 3 could be coincidence. But when multiple behaviors consistently appear together, that's when your instincts deserve your attention. The goal isn't to become suspicious of everyone around you. It's to become a more thoughtful observer. Listen carefully, watch consistently, and always consider the full picture before reaching a conclusion. Because understanding human psychology isn't about catching people in lies. It's about recognizing patterns of behavior that help you make wiser, more informed decisions. Remember, people can fake confidence. They can rehearse stories. They can even control their emotions. But maintaining a false narrative over time is much harder than telling the truth. And that's why patterns, not isolated moments, are often the clearest window into a person's true intentions. The truth is, the most convincing liars aren't always the loudest, the most intelligent, or even the most confident. They're often the people who understand one thing exceptionally well: human psychology. They know how easily guilt can cloud your judgment. They know how uncertainty can weaken your confidence. They know how trust can silence your questions. And sometimes, they use those natural human instincts to protect a lie instead of revealing the truth. But starting today, you have something even more powerful: awareness. The next time someone immediately asks, "Why would I lie?" or "Who told you?" or tries to end the conversation before your questions are answered, don't rush to react. Don't let emotions make the decision for you. Take a moment. Slow down. Listen carefully. Watch their behavior, not just their words, because the most revealing part of any conversation isn't always the answer someone gives. It's the question they choose to ask. Remember, no single phrase proves deception. People deserve fairness, context, and the benefit of the doubt. Real insight comes from recognizing consistent patterns, not jumping to conclusions. The more you understand human behavior, the harder it becomes for manipulation to go unnoticed, and the better you'll become at protecting your trust, your confidence, and your peace of mind. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive into the fascinating world of human psychology, body language, and the hidden behaviors that shape everyday life. Every week, we'll uncover the science behind how people think, communicate, and influence those around them, giving you practical insights you can use in real conversations. Until next time, stay curious, stay observant, and remember, sometimes the most dangerous lies don't sound like lies at all. They hide behind questions that seem completely innocent. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.